brings a memory or something. But Miss Jackson, her husband, and my father were firemen together.
Oh, wow.
And I've known him since he was a little boy.
That makes the interview 10 times better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Gladys Jackson, and I am a Windsor resident for more than 50 years. And my husband and I, along with our 2 kids, moved to Windsor in the early 70s. So we've been here 50 years. And my kids went to school at Kennedy School. My son graduated from Windsor High. My daughter went to Northwest Catholic. And that's kind of where the education difference there.
Sure.
And my husband was a Hartford fireman. And Windsor's been an interesting community. When we moved to Windsor, we were the first African American family living in our neighborhood. And that was quite challenging for my children my daughter particularly,
Right.
when she went to school. Racism was a part of the Windsor scene, and the schools were not that diverse. But as time has gone on, that has definitely changed. The neighborhood has changed. We have a very diverse neighborhood now, and I like we're living in Windsor. I'm a member of a congregation in Windsor. Unfortunately, we are about to close because of inactivity, you know, the aging population, like me and all the other members. We've got aged. So 50 years gives you an idea of how old I am.
What's the name of that congregation?
The church,
Yeah.
Christ the King Lutheran Church, and they are located on Park Avenue. Currently,
Okay.
yes.
So, because there's 2 churches on there.
Well, that's the Methodist Church.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
But that's further down.
Sure, okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I don't know. You know, I tried to be as involved in Windsor as I could,
Sure.
and
So how long you said you lived here?
50 years.
50 years. So what was it like when your kids were young? I mean, what was the scene in Windsor then when your kids were like going to school and that?
Well, as I said, it was not a very integrated community.
Right.
And I can remember when we first moved, the first day we moved into Windsor, all the neighbors and their sons, all the men and their sons came to play football next to our house. There is a park area there. So they all came and they played all afternoon watching us move in. That was the first and the last time fathers and sons have ever played in that park in Windsor, to my knowledge. I have never seen anybody else play over in that park. So, you know, the racial composition was different. The attitudes were different. Things have changed. My neighbors I've not had any black neighbors. The first couple that lived next to us was a young couple, and they quickly sold their house. And the day that they were moving, the husband came over and he cried. And he said, "We made an awful mistake. This is nothing like what we thought you would be like." And neighbors started to move in, different neighbors. A few more African Americans moved into the neighborhood. but it was a very slow transition. People stayed in their houses until they were too old to, to live there, like most of us. When we get a certain age, then you're moving on to smaller accommodations where houses are not so, houses require a lot of maintenance. And I'm interested in hearing more about other people's experience in Windsor. So this is really a great opportunity.
Well, all of these tapes that were taken are going to be on Win TV, and I don't know if they're on the historical website also.
So we've been posting them on our Facebook page, but I think eventually we're going to have them available through a collection.
Right.
So you will be able to see all the other.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, okay.
Okay. And
I was going to ask which other organizations you've been involved in, because you said you were active throughout Windsor, and so.
not so much in organizations in Windsor necessarily. Just the PTA at the schools. I was involved with that. But other than that, in my church, it was a lot of things through my church that I volunteered, and I am now still a volunteer at a Lutheran church in Hartford, and for the last 8-9 years I've been a volunteer, and the Christ the King Lutheran Church in in Windsor, where I attend, supported this effort, and we've had great success. And I'm a chef once a month, and we prepare meals for 100 people.
Okay.
And
To take where, or do they come there?
well, it was until COVID. It was sit down dinner, and now that it is the COVID, it is all takeout.
Oh, okay. So people can come to the church and get a meal.
Absolutely,
Get a takeaway?
people can come and get meals and take away, and it's lots of interesting dinners.
Give me an example of one of the dinners that you guys do.
Well, it all depends on who the chef is.
Okay.
And whatever it is that you want to prepare, and it also depends on what we've gotten from the food share as well. So you don't particularly know what you're going to prepare, except that you'll know the meats.
Okay.
Because they have to be defrosted ahead of time, but the vegetables you're not always sure what you're going to prepare, so it's always a kind of a surprise. So I thank you for giving me an opportunity to share something about life in Windsor, and
well, we have 2 more sessions coming up. One's going to be at LP Wilson, where they'll be filming there, and another one, on the final one, is October 9th at the Historical Society. So if you have some friends that want to come down and talk, and we can, we'll have the cameras and stuff there.
Well, I've encouraged individuals to do this, and hopefully they'll take advantage of this opportunity to do this. One young gentleman who was in the military in the Vietnam era veteran, and he told me a story about why he got out of the military, and I thought it was an interesting take on why you would leave. You did your required time, but it would not extend beyond the required time. And I thought that was an interesting conversation that he and I had. And yes, I am encouraging people to come and share their experiences. Living in Windsor has not always been not necessarily not positive, but a difficult first years for my family and my children, and I think of the first day we moved, as I said, the neighbors all came out. And that afternoon, my children and I are going back to our old apartment. So this cruiser comes up behind us. And when we get to, I wouldn't name the street, but when we get, we leave our house, he follows us. And he says, he pulls me over, and I said, is there a problem? And he said, well, your car is not registered yet. So I said, well, my husband is a fireman, and he's working today, but tomorrow he's off, and he's going to motor vehicle to take care of this problem. And I said, and by the way, that driveway that you followed me from all the way to this traffic light is my house, and I now pay your salary. I thought, what a thing to, what an experience.
Sure.
You know, that first day that we were actually Windsor residents.
So you were welcome to the neighborhood.
I was welcome. It was all kinds of activities. Like I said, the people were playing in the park. I mean, it was like a circus. They just kept coming and playing with their kids all afternoon. And then when we go to Hartford, the police officer follows me. But it has been a good 50 years here. My kids have both gone to school. They had great friends. They're still friends with kids from grade school, high school, and I'm still friends with some of their friends because that was the house that all the kids seemed to know.
Right.
Going to the Jacksons was the end thing in the neighborhood. Everybody came to the Jacksons. And I can remember one time one of the kids at Kennedy's school was sick and he had to go home, and they called the mother. So they said, she told them, oh, send them to the Jacksons. Somebody's there. And the kid comes, he shows up. His mother told him to come to our house. So there I am. So he stays until his mother gets out of work. And that was how people would proceed the neighborhood. We were right on the corner. Go to the Jacksons. Play in the Jackson's yard. It's always Mr. Jackson or Mrs. Jackson. And because my husband was a fireman, he was home a lot of times. And he would always be outside when the kids would get out of school.
Sure.
And everybody knew Mr. Jackson, and myself too. But it was my husband who was always hanging out.
Sure. And
he was the one that the kids would just rally around. Going to the Jackson was the Robin Road address. Everybody knew the Jacksons. And if you probably ask people today that live somewhere in that neighborhood, oh, we know where the Jacksons live. So that's my story, and
appreciate you coming over.
Okay, all righty.
And I'll tell my dad that I saw you.
Oh, by all means.